This is the Apollo 11, a 9mm double stack 1911 made in Florida by Live Free Armory. And I gotta say, I've really been looking forward to getting one of these in hand so that I can do this video. This platform, the 2011 or double stack 1911 platform, has gained so much popularity in the last few years, but it seems like kind of the problem is price point is a major barrier to entry. Pretty much everybody knows Staccato is like the industry standard when it comes to this style of gun. Those are going to run you $2,500. You can get an Atlas for $3,500, $4,500. Some of the Terran tactical guns are like upwards of $7,000. The price just keeps going up. So what are you getting for $1,000? For $1,000, you're getting the Apollo 11. It is going to come with one magazine, and it is going to come in a Savior soft carrying case. I actually really like the soft carrying cases, even though I do have a large hard case that I can carry like 8 pistols in, and that's usually what I use when I come out here to go shooting. I would like to see these guns come with 2 magazines. Of course, you're going to see a slight increase in the cost of the gun if they add 2 magazines, but I guess at the same time, if you're ordering one of these, you're probably going to order more magazines as well. I don't know, one way or another, you're going to pay more and you're going to get more magazines. That's a drawback to the double stack 1911 platform, is that the mags are somewhat expensive. Luckily, I already have a stack of magazines. I got a bunch of STI mags and I've got several Prodigy mags as well. We'll talk about the compatibility here in a minute, but let's start here with the grip. Now, the grip is 3D printed. This isn't the same type of 3D printing that you're doing at home. These are, I guess it uses a similar process to what they're doing the 3D printed suppressors. I know I'm not an expert. I can say it's a decent enough grip, but it doesn't have the texture that I would like. As somebody who carried an M&P 2.0 for a very long time, I like something that's a little bit more aggressive than this. And the problem that I can see is it's just way too smooth for my liking, especially here on the front. I mean, there's no grip on there whatsoever. I like the look, I like the style, but at the end of the day, the entire grip is just way too smooth for me. Personally, I would like to see them kind of make something a little bit more aggressive. Because of that, I will be swapping this grip out at some point in the near future. I'm looking for something that is going to give me something a little bit more aggressive, but isn't going to kind of blow out the budget, so to speak. So this grip is made in-house. They're making that in-house. They're making everything in-house. Now, I've watched basically every video online about these guns while I waited for this one to come in. So I know that it was kind of hit and miss as to whether people were getting the metal injection molded parts or not. So I can tell you that this gun was ordered at the beginning of July, and as of the beginning of July moving forward, all guns are going to have parts that are made milled in-house. None of them are going to be metal injection molded anymore. Speaking of YouTube videos, I've probably watched a half dozen where people complained about not being able to reliably feed hollow points through these guns. That is an issue that has been fixed. They've changed the geometry of the feed ramp, and while I've been out here shooting, I have put, I'd say probably 30 or 40 rounds of various hollow point ammo through this gun, and I haven't had a single failure to feed. All right, so I've got this thing partially broken in at this point. I'm going to run some defensive ammo through it. I know a lot of people online have complained about the Apollos not wanting to feed any type of hollow points. So what I've done is I've taken a mix of Spear Gold Dot and Hornady Critical Defense, and I've got just a bunch of random hollow points that normally I cycle my hollow points out every 2 years or so, and it's about that time. So I've rounded them all up. I've got about 50 rounds here with me, and I'm going to run a couple mags worth of this stuff through both of the Apollo 11s and see how it goes. Hollow points, not an issue with mine at least. Now, in terms of general reliability, this gun, I currently am at just over 1,000 rounds. I probably have 1,050 or so. I picked the gun up from the gun shop a couple weeks ago, and I've really been shooting it quite a bit. It's grown on me a lot. It's not my first double stack 1911, but I really do enjoy shooting this one. So now we're up just over the 1,000 round mark, and I think it's going pretty well. There was an initial break-in period, I would say probably the first 150 rounds or so, before the gun was running as smoothly and consistency as I would like it to. That comes back to the coating. So these are Cerakoted, and I love Cerakote, I do. Live Free Armory is using the E series of Cerakote, the Elite series. I've been Cerakoting for, I don't know, I think we're coming up on 6 years now that I've been actually doing it myself at home, and the Elite series is their most durable. That's the one that I always use for like a carry weapon or anything that's going to be going through a lot of abuse. One of the downsides to using a coating like Cerakote is that it is a surface coating, and there's going to be a certain amount of time that's going to need to be taken to kind of wear in those friction spots, all of those surfaces that touch each other and rub against each other. You're going to need to wear that in. Now you can do that at home by just cycling the slide, or you can come out and you can put a couple hundred rounds through the gun, and then it's going to wear in and it's going to run nice and smooth. That first 100 rounds or so, I had a couple of instances where the gun didn't quite want to go all the way back into battery. It would stop just a little bit short, and I think that's just a product of the Cerakote needing to be worn down. Other than that, it did pretty well. It didn't feel like it was cycling as fast as I would like it to. I hit that 150 round mark or so, and it really started to break free and run smooth. By the time I got to 200 rounds, 250, I was really happy with the way that it was performing. Next, I guess we should probably talk about the sights. I like the sights that come on this gun as far as the iron sights go. Blacked out rear that's serrated, and then the front is a high vis night sight. It's not bad. I generally like fiber optic sights for my guns, but I think this is going to do right up until the point that I put an optic on it, and that's something that some people aren't happy about, is the optics mounting platform. So it is cut for you to use the Holosun K series optics, so it's all the smaller ones. I kind of get why they did that. So they're going to be a direct mount. You're not going to have to use any type of adapter plate. The slide itself is so narrow that once you add an adapter plate and you put something like, I don't know, if you wanted to put an SRO on there or one of the Holosun 507 comps or whatever, the optic itself is going to stick out past the edge of the slide a little bit, and they were trying to go with more streamline, but also direct mount. Now, obviously, you cannot direct mount one of those optics, one of those larger optics, to these slides because it's not wide enough for the hole pattern. In a perfect world, they would, I don't know, widen the back part of the slide and be able to do that. I don't know. In a perfect world. But here's the thing. Nobody's ever going to be happy. People complain about using an adapter plate, but then they complain about the fact that they can't use one of the larger optics on a slide. I don't know. It is what it is. I know that there are some companies out there that have some adapters so that you can go ahead and size it up to one of those larger optics, but I have a Holosun EPS carry on my desk at home that I'm going to put on here, and I think that's going to be more than adequate for what I want to use this for. I will say, if you order one of these, check your cover plate screws. These ones, they felt like they were tight, and I probably got, I don't know, 50 rounds through it, and this cover plate started to rattle around. Luckily, I had some Allen wrenches so I could reef it down. If you're going to run just iron sights, pull these out and put a little Loctite on there because there's none from the factory. Everything on this gun was machined really well. The ambi safety, for instance, it has a good positive click to it. I'm not finding any spots that are, you know, gonna leave a raw spot on my thumb. Everything was blended really well. One thing that I think could have been a little bit better is this grip safety. I don't think that the memory bump is tall enough, and I'm probably going to replace it, but I tend to have a fairly high grip on my guns, and I found that there are times where my high grip doesn't quite engage that grip safety as much as it needs to be engaged. Now, yeah, I could pin it, but as far as using the gun as it came from the factory, honestly, sometimes it doesn't want to engage, and I just have to keep conscious of the fact that my normal striker fired pistol grip is too high for this gun. Not a big deal. I'll probably just cycle this out. I'll get something that has a slightly bigger bump on it. Problem solved. The trigger is not bad. It's actually a lot better than I would expect out of a gun that costs $1,000. I tested this at home, and it is 4 pounds 6 ounces is what this is breaking at. Now, I do have an old school STI Tactical 4.0. That was the precursor to the Staccato P that came out in 2019. I love that gun. The trigger on that one breaks at about 4 pounds 2 ounces. And to be perfectly honest, the feeling of the trigger is not much different between these two guns. The weight is roughly the same. I don't feel any, I don't feel any grittiness to this one. It doesn't hang up at all. I'm very surprised that a trigger in a gun this price feels as good as my Staccato or STI. So what do we have here? We have a $1,000 9mm double stacked 1911 that's made in America, and it's been my experience so far out here that this is more than reliable. Once you pass that break-in period, it runs really well. Accuracy wise, I haven't seen anything that would lead me to believe that it's anything but accurate. I'm going to really put it to the test once I put an optic on here, but for now I'm really happy with how it's shooting. I have used the Checkmate mag that comes with this gun. I have used STI magazines, and I've used Prodigy magazines. All the mags that I've used in this gun have ran reliably. I haven't had any issues with the slide not locking back. All right, so far so good with the compact version. The STI mags are working really well, Staccato. I've swapped over to Springfield Prodigy mag. I've got several of these. We're going to give them a go and see what happens. Word is the slide doesn't like to lock back on this gun with Springfield mag. So we're about to find out. All right, we're going to test out this ridiculous 26 round stick for the Prodigy. God, this thing is dumb. Another thing to note is the exceptional customer service over at Live Free Armory. They offer this gun in 3 colors, black, FDE, and there's like a silver. I wanted this done in the same green that I have several other guns done in, and so I emailed their custom order request email, told them what I wanted for a small extra fee. They went ahead and did it exactly the way that I wanted it done. Now, I mentioned earlier that I've been Cerakoting for 5 or 6 years now. I can't tell you how many guns that I have coated, and I can tell you that I would have been hard pressed to do as good of a job as what I've got here in terms of the consistency of the coating. You know, I have the Smith & Wesson M&P 2.0 metal competitor, and that gun is Cerakoted as well, and I was very unhappy with the way that Smith & Wesson did the coating on that gun. Honestly, it was trash. This, however, this was done by somebody who likes what they do and has a lot of pride in what they do, and I really appreciate that. The gun overall, I'm really happy with it. I have had some issues with compatibility with holsters, and I don't know if it is the geometry of the slide itself or the fact that the grip is slightly different than like what a staccato grip or what a Prodigy grip is right in through this mag catch area. I'm not really sure, but I took one of my McKenna Tech holsters for my staccato, gave it a little bit of heat, and then put this gun in there and kind of remolded it, and it's working out really well so far. So, like I said, all in all, great experience. I also have the 5-inch, the full-size Apollo 11. I'm going to start running the full-size Apollo 11 through its paces, and hopefully we have the same experience with that one as we have with this one. Now, I will be back to do an update video on this after I get a few things changed around, and we'll just kind of keep tabs on how this is going. I really feel like people are embracing these double-stacked 1911s like never before. I think that the market for these guns is getting bigger and bigger every year, and so, you know, I like what Live Free Armory is doing. I like the price point. I like the fact that everything's made in-house. I like the way that the company does business. I'm happy with it. Make sure you keep an eye on the channel because I will be back with more Apollo 11 stuff very soon.